taking a critical look at the gaming news of the week. This is Augmented Reality, presented by the Triple S League.
Good morning, everybody. Wow, okay, so this GameStop story is getting insane. And if anything were just organically highlight the rift between the cultural elites and us commoners, I think it's this. And it's kind of putting it into a package that hopefully a lot of people can understand more so than they have before. I did some research yesterday, and I actually know what's going on right now. And now I know why everybody is so pissed off, because I am too. So we're going to talk about that a bit today, and just what this means for gaming and things in general. It's just an insane story, and it's being talked about everywhere. The most unusual places that I have, that I sometimes garner information from are talking about GameStop or GameSpot.
GameStonks.
GameStonks. I keep wanting
GameStonks as well.
I think that we have, I keep wanting to say GameSpot. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Don't we have I think we have a store here in Canada called GameSpot.
Yeah, it's the same company, actually.
Same company.
Yeah.
Do you just give it different?
It's just different localized branding.
It's like how, down in the States, you guys have DiGiorno pizzas. The frozen pizzas you can get. Up here, they're called Delicios. Why? Who knows? I don't know. Why they do that? Good freaking question. But
Weird that in a globalized economy, you don't have a globalized representative for some consumer items. And it's weird. If you spend like 40 million in advertising stating that TP toilet paper is the best toilet paper you will ever feel on your little cushy, and then you call it C, T, B, T, PP, in all these other countries, it's like, how's that how's that work? Completely different. It doesn't make any sense to me. I think it's insane, but
I don't know.
World of advertising, man, it is a bizarre one at best. Trust me.
That voice is, of course, Obsidian, and the other voice you heard was Moontag, and welcome to the Augmented Reality Podcast, your source for news, leaks, and insights into games and the gaming industry. And, welcome to everybody who's active in the live chat. Some questions about our Cyberpunk 2077 romance discussion. The first part was posted this week. Hastus asks, part 2 when? Probably this coming week sometime. We are still, we're messing with the branding on that one, so you'll notice it has a different thumbnail and title than when we first posted it, but it is currently called RPG Lovers React to Cyberpunk 2077 Romance. It is a long discussion that we had with two of our community members. Moontag and I had a discussion with two of our community members, Lady Reaver and Time Bean, and it was a great deep dive into all of the romance quests, all of the romance, the writing, just how they relate to the ending, everything having to do with the romance in Cyberpunk 2077. So definitely check that out if that's a topic that interests you. We'd like to boost that video a bit, and there will be at least 3 more parts coming to answer the question from the Islington girl, who pointed out to us on Discord a few days ago that it's Islington, not Islington. So Islington is the name of somewhere. Anyway.
Oh, I feel terrible.
Oh, it's okay. I was saying Islington for the longest time too, because that's what it looks like.
It must be because I'm from that odd place in the world, Canada, and our English is so bizarre because it's a mix between old English and new Americanized English, and so everything gets just kind of put really weird.
Yes, the first one the first one did come out a few days ago, and again, like I said, we're messing with it. We're trying to figure out the best branding for it. So I mean, if you have any thoughts on it, let us know. But yeah, we have a new thumbnail, and there probably will be a new thumbnail once Moon works on that. or has a chance to finish that up. So, yeah, lots going on here. Anyway, got to get to the news. So, GameStop. Oh, I didn't let you do your like button spiel.
My like button spiel.
Do the spiel, Moon.
A spiel. So yeah, it's really great to see everybody so active in the live chat. Make sure to say hi and send us your questions and comments too. We'll read and respond to as many as we can throughout the podcast. And as we get going, don't forget to slam that like button. It likes it rough. It tells us and YouTube that you appreciate this content. For those listening after the fact on one of the audio-only platforms, we're glad to have you join us, and we're grateful for your likes and follows there too. To get the latest info sooner, be sure to hit the link in the description below to subscribe to the Triple S League YouTube channel.
All right. See, that's always a great opportunity for me to swig some coffee and hopefully not have it go down the wrong tube so I start coughing like a maniac. But yeah, coffee definitely necessary this morning. I don't know. It's one of those days where I rolled out of bed and I'm like, what is up? Anyway, the GameStop situation. So this is getting really crazy. And
it's so bizarre that like there's this crazy culture war going on, and say what you want about it, but it is currently apparently having a battle on top of GameStop stocks of all things. And this is crazy. We've been following this. This has essentially been going on for just a little over a week now. And the like a bunch of normal average people have gone to war against like the most distilled essence of what you would call crony elites. I don't even call it crony capitalists, because in and I don't want to get political, but just hear me out. In crony capitalist means somebody who's like, providing a service and doing something, and they're like the robber barons or the people who own the railways. It's like it's still within their interests to make society run and get better and improve, because that's what their business runs on. That's a crony capitalist, where you're still cornering the market and overcharging for basic services that everybody needs, that kind of stuff. These people aren't crony capitalists because they aren't adding anything to the environment of the economy. These are people who only take what other people have at a manipulated price. So this is really like the ultimate form of cronyism. And if you're following this closely, you discovered just like, I think it was just yesterday that, or that might have been the day before, but it might have been Thursday. We discovered that a bunch of the people who were just recently put into very powerful positions within the government are all related to these people. So the people rise up and they say, who's the worst crony elitist who's stealing money from the general economy to profit themselves? Who is that? Who's the worst person that we can find with this? What's the worst company? So they go around, they look at who the absolute worst company is. The one that's got the most destructive history, the most disgusting profiteering, the most disgusting and vile operating agenda. Like, who's the worst? And then we find out that this company is connected by blood and by relationship to the people who just got into office. It's like you can't write this stuff because it would be told that you're crazy. Like that's the insanity that we're in right now, and this is why this is getting insane. And again, politics aside,
well, I mean, this is bipartisan or multi-partisan, depending on, you look at, I know, like here in Canada, like you look at any of the political parties, they're all corrupt with very few exceptions. Like everybody, this seems to be, it seems, this is my personal take on it, that politics just seems to attract a certain kind of person
And that's really what it boils down to.
or who's like attracted to power.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, it's the people who aren't attracted. Honestly, I feel like the people who like the last thing they want to do is be a politician are probably your best choice for actually being in charge of your country.
Right, because they're like well, there's this old Indian proverb, right? I don't know if it's an Indian proverb. There's this old East Indian story that I heard from a guy who was East Indian who told the story numerous times, and he said that it was kind of in his localized thing. So, when a baby's young, they want to find out what the baby, like, he's a toddler, like, just, you know, barely able to walk, and they want to find out what is his profession going to be. You know, what is his you know, where's his life going to lead? So they put three things in front of him. They put some wine. They put I think it's like a Bible, and then they put some money. And they let the baby walk over it and grab whatever. Oh dear, puppies are barking. They walk over and let him grab it.
All right.
So the puppy, sorry, the baby, got puppies on the brain. So the baby walks over and grabs like one of these three things, and then they know what industry that baby is going to go into in the future. And they watch this one child walk up. You know, if he grabs the money, he's going to be a businessman. If he grabs the Bible, he's going to be like, you know, some kind of like, it's a representative for like healthcare and you know, emotional health, you know, psychologist and or like ministry, you know, getting into the, you know, talking to people and helping people. That's really what that is supposed to like represent when they're doing this test. And then the bottle of wine represents like, you know, the arts, right? You know, getting into creating art. Again, it's a singular item that represents a wide field of stuff. And this one baby walks up, grabs the money, puts it in his pocket, grabs the Bible and the bottle of wine, and goes over and sits in the corner. And that's when they go, "Oh dear God, he's going to be a politician."
He takes it all. He just takes it all. I like this comment from. Oh, where'd it go? I have to scroll to find it now. Somebody said, oh yeah, Dorian Gray says, that's America. We never elect good people. We just play musical assholes. I like it. Okay, so just to briefly describe what's actually going on. If anybody out there is unfamiliar at this point, so what's happening is you have these hedge fund billionaires, and I still don't really understand what a hedge fund is. But anyway, there's these people who have a lot of money and they make money off the stock market, and they're like billionaires. They have this practice that they call shorting a stock, which I cannot believe this is actually a thing. But it's like,
or that it's allowed, or that
it's allowed,
commonly used.
Like
you anybody who's creating a financial system should always be interested in finding ways to create growth, and when there is no growth, to soften or dampen the negative effects of a crash. Because any kind of a crash in an environment is a bad thing. I mean, it's just the harder the crash, the more damage it does to things locally around it. And it's like running an airport. It's like the last thing you want is an airplane to go down. Like, you may not like certain airplanes. You might think that they're, you know, too small or ineffective or fuel consumers, blah, 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 blah. There's lots of reasons to want or to pressure some form of change or whatever. But the last thing you'd want is airplanes just hitting the dirt every other day. And so you think that people who design a financial system would do so with the solid and the careful consideration of designing a system that encourages growth in general. And one thing it doesn't do is it doesn't encourage people to go out and sabotage each other in crashing and damaging companies, stocks, and people. Like really, you want to avoid that at any cost. You would want to like put in protections and umbrellas so that way, you know, it disencourages, you know, people who run companies poorly, but encourages, you know, people and things to survive. You know, that's the kind of thing. That's what I would assume that you would want to do as you, the creator or the manager of some kind of a financial system. Mm-hmm. But who on earth? Go ahead.
You say that, but wasn't it only like 100 years ago that something happened? Something in the early 1920s.
Yeah. Yeah, but there was a lot of reasons for that, and again, that boiled down to a lot of these problems. But um, it, it's like people found out that you can profit off of people's loss, and one of the things that we're seeing that's really really terrible is that there's one guy, very very rich billionaire, who got on TV about a little less than a year ago, and he said he had a speech that he said where he looked at the general like stock market, and he made this speech, and it was like listening to like those crazy people that stand on the side of the road and they're like, the end is near, the great tentacle lord will rise from the ocean and consume all mankind, we will be replaced with flying all like just insane stuff. It sounded like one of these like doomsday people who are talking about the end times, and you think, okay, so this guy has pulled all his money out and put it in like gold bonds, or he's literally bought, like other billionaires, he's literally bought farmland, and no, turns out that after he gave that speech and the market started to like drop everywhere, he invested more money into the dropping stocks that soon later recovered more than any person in like almost history.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like so you're surrounded by people that are essentially rigging the game, and this is what really like has happened. This is the big news that's happened since Wednesday, is that I think it was like 2 or 3 hours after we did the show on Wednesday, or it was just happening at the time that we were going on, that we found out that a bunch of these trading companies, including a lot of these apps that allow you to actually get in and buy and sell stocks, turns out that they put a pause on all buying of stocks within these ones that are going up like crazy, that are part of these that are these targeted short selling stocks. Again, that we don't want to get too confusing and have your eyes glaze over, but they targeted these targeted stocks because there's a target of several of them, GameStop and a couple others, and these were the ones that were being shorted. These were the ones that were being driven down artificially so that they were attempting to crash the stock, which would mean that these hedge fund companies would make billions off of it, and instead they've gone up in price, and so the amount of money that they owe gets it gets exponentially larger. So and again, we don't want to get into the nitty-gritty.
I will explain. I believe I can explain very simply what shorting a stock is, but
okay,
I'll let you finish I'll let you finish your thought if you like.
No, take a stab at it now.
Oh, okay. All right. So basically, it's like this. If you want to use a metaphor, imagine I borrow Moon's car. Okay. Say it's I don't know, a Honda Civic or something, and it's worth about $10,000, and so I borrow her car from her, and then I immediately turn around and sell it to, I don't know, I'll just pick a name from chat. I sell it to Polly's for $10,000. Okay, so I've borrowed her car and then sold it. Now I've got to give her car back to her eventually. But then I call up my friend at, I don't know, the Blue Book or some media personality, and I'm like, hey, could you make it so that, it sounds like this type of car is terrible and whatever. And so anyway, news gets out that it's the least safe car on the market, and the value of this car drops by 90%. So now it's only worth $1,000. So then I go to Polly's. I'm like, hey, that car, I'll take it off your hands for market price, $1,000. And he's like, okay. So I pay $1,000 to Polly's, get the car back, and then I give it back to Moon, and I've pocketed $9,000. That's essentially what's going on with these with shorting a stock. These extremely rich people, who are the only people who have the ability to do this, borrow stocks. I don't know how that's a thing, but they borrow a stock like the GameStop stock. They borrow, I don't know, X number of shares, and they turn around and sell it at the current price. So they've made all that money. Then they want the stock price to go down so they can buy it back cheaper and then just give the stock back that they owe to the company. This is how they make money. They're essentially profiting off of everybody else who owns the stock. They get richer while everybody else who actually owns stock in that company is losing money and possibly going bankrupt. This is what shorting a stock is. Now,
and they also
the reason they're all free. Yeah.
So they also overborrow. So instead of borrowing like 100% of available stock, the 100% of available cars, so to speak, in this example, they're not just borrowing one or all of them. They're borrowing them plus another 50% that don't theoretically exist anywhere.
So it's like I borrow. So it's like I go to Polly's like, hey, I've got 10 Honda Civics to sell you, and he's like, yeah, I'll take them, but I only give him one. I'm like, okay, the other 9 are they're in the mail or whatever.
Yeah,
and then I'm it's so I can't believe that this is a thing. But what the reason that all of these rich billionaires are freaking out now is because when you just buy a stock, the most that you can lose is the money that you put into that stock. Mm-hmm. When you're shorting a stock, and you
can lose as much as the baseline investment that it increases.
There's no limit to how much you can lose.
Yeah.
If the stock goes up, if the stock goes up 10, 100%, 1,000%, you're losing that much. And so all these billionaires are freaking out. But what's really stupid about all this is, like Saib was talking about with just the interests, the people that are connected to these people. We've now got prominent people, like a very prominent U.S. senator who said, and I'm not going to say the name, but you know this person. You know who this person is. I guarantee it. Who said, I am deeply concerned about these casino-like swings in the value of GameStop and other company shares are yet another example of gamesmanship that interferes with the fair, orderly, and efficient function of the market. And it's raising obvious questions about public confidence in the market and those trading in it. And this individual thinks that the SEC, the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission, need to take action to ensure that the markets reflect real value rather than the highly leveraged bets of wealthy traders or those who seek to inflict financial damage on those traders. A couple things about that. One is I just want to get this thought out and then I'll let you run with it. The ordinary people who bought into this stock and made money off of it, this Reddit group who are just, kind of ordinary people who figured out how to beat the billionaires at their own game, they're being characterized as those who seek to inflict financial damage on the poor billionaires who might have to sell one of their 19 yachts now. And also, what I notice about this is that they didn't give a crap about these hedge fund operators bankrupting people and profiting off of it. But as soon as some ordinary folks start making money, now it's a problem. Now the government's got to get involved.
And this person is one of the biggest hypocrites. One of the biggest hypocrites in the universe. I've mentioned before I have contacts everywhere. Well, I have a few off-world contacts. Alpha Centauri called and said the biggest hypocrite award in the universe has been given to a person who claims to have been part of a particular racial group. Turns out that they have, basically absolute zero connection to this. This person who's gone on stage and said, we need to remove money from dark money from politics. We have to unite under my leadership and I will take care of everything. A person who claims to stand up for the little guy and doesn't in the slightest. Who isn't in the slightest.
And that's not the only example we could give either.
Politicians I can think of. If I think of rat scumbag politicians, this is the first one that comes to mind. It is a disgusting individual who has just now taken off her mask and said, oh, you foolish people, you foolish little scrubs. Don't you understand? I'm here to make money for myself and my crony buddies. I'm not here to help you, you foolish little humans. That's essentially what's happened here. And this is why this year is insane, because if and again, you can't write this. If I was going to
Yeah, if
come
you
up
were
with,
going to write this as a fiction, it would be, like,
yes,
no, that's not realistic enough to be believable.
if I was going to write any of this stuff into a plot and call it like The Wolf of Wall Street 2 or anything like that, and I was going to pitch it to somebody, they would laugh and say it was crazy. There's no way any of this would happen. I mean, a politician who claims to be, part of the little man, part of the everyday working Joe and Jill who are just out there trying to make a buck and survive during a time of crisis, and how they rise up behind a GameStop of all things to get back at the big billionaires. And this old little politician, she can't stand that anymore, and immediately calls for the investigation and jailing of average Joes because they dared hurt this system of which pays her regularly.
And that might sound like an exaggeration, but these people,
This is exactly what's happened.
The government is like,
calling,
we're going to investigate this now. Yeah.
There's a bunch of people who are calling for like the investigation of a lot of these companies, the investigate, and this is some serious stuff. They're suggesting, they're hinting at, again, these are some, not all. Not every politician's evil, just a large majority of them. These people are saying, we need to investigate this. We need to get these hedge fund managers up here, because turns out that the public has discovered that the game is rigged, and they don't like that. And we, as actual politicians who do our job, we don't like that either. And this is coming from two sides, both sides of the fence in this case. But then all of the connected, wealthy people that legitimately have a chance of becoming the next president in the next few years, all of those people, they're all getting behind and saying, these poor hedge fund managers, they're losing everything. They're losing billions of dollars. We're this group of crazy people who are connected to evil things, like individual thought. Like all these people, well, they're all
video games and memes.
They need to be investigated and probably put in jail. I mean, they're trying to jail this guy who created a meme for 10 years. Now, I haven't looked too much into the story. All I know is that I watch a lawyer who talks about this kind of stuff, and he talked about it, and he says this is absolutely like frighteningly scary. Now, again, I can't comment on the individual particular cases in that, but the fact that we have somebody who's been arrested for posting a meme, I think is
well, that's disgusting.
It's showing, again, it's showing the insanity that we're at in this year, and the increasing insanity that we're going to have. And this doesn't say, hey, whoa, now everybody stop. We got to calm things down. There's none of that. I hear none of that from what this kind of stuff that's going on. This isn't stopping or slowing anybody's anger or anybody's frustration. This is just making everything worse nonstop. And so this year is going to be, it's going to get worse and worse and worse. And again, I don't think politics here is really what's going on. I think this is classism, really what this boils down to. And some might say that that's politics, but I don't think that that's politics. I don't think it is, because it's the average everyday Joe who's trying to, put food on the table for his family. We're talking about people who've lost everything, who are now, facing losing their house and becoming, homeless wards of the state. And the state seems to like this idea. And the fact that this is getting worse and worse and worse, and this is getting more and more insane, this is honestly like frightening on a really deep level, that it's going to continue to get worse and worse and worse, because this is frightening. And there's a lot of people in the comments that are commenting about, the insanity of this stuff. Like a particular Treasury secretary who just so happens to have been paid by the company who's the target of the GameStop thing. Again, you can't make this stuff up and put it in a movie, because it would be considered too ridiculous to believe. But yet it's happening in front of our faces. And it's getting worse every day. It's like every moment gets worse. like this whole Treasury Secretary thing that came out on I think that came out on Wednesday or Tuesday, but it also came out, the next day, that the person who's the spokesman for the current admin, turns out that their brother works for this company as one of the heads of the company. And it's like, how much of this dirty connected, dirty politics, and you see now why it's like things are getting crazy. And again, I don't want to get political.
Well,
I don't think
we're touching we're on the fringe of politics just because this is a public interest story that affects everybody and is kind of connected to gaming because it happens to be GameStop. And
I think the most important thing here to remember is that all politics are dirty. Almost every politician that exists today is dirty. They say things that they don't mean to get flicks. And again, not all of them, because I legitimately
obviously not. I mean, we know you're.
I do see some people who are honestly trying to. There's like 3 people, which out of the hundreds in the United States active political system, so people that are currently in office, I only see 3 of them that are worth supporting. And it's crazy. There's probably more than that. There's probably when you get down to it, there's probably going to be like, if you go through each case individually, you're probably going to get out of the 300 member. No, wait, there's more than that.
Well,
there's
we don't need to break it down exactly. The point is it is a bit of an overgeneralization to say all politicians are corrupt and evil, but because it's like 99.5%, we just kind of generalize. Yeah.
So again, I don't want to. There is of course exceptions to the rule, and a good politician is an important person in society. But right now, it seems that we don't have that at all, and it's the fact that this is all coming down on GameStop, a place where we buy and sell video games, and that's the battleground for this, is hilarious.
Plus the connection to Reddit, I find Reddit just kind of stepped up and screwed the establishment. It's very, I mean, it's funny in a way, but it's very, it is kind of hilarious. And it just highlights this cultural divide between the rich elites and the rest of us. It's something we're thinking about, and it's the reason we're talking about this is because we want as many people as possible to be aware of this, because this kind of crap shouldn't be happening in any kind of a free and fair society. Exactly. And we're probably going to get punished for talking about it from YouTube. Quite frankly, I mean, if you've been following this show for a while, we talk about stuff. We talk about the Hong Kong-China situation. We talk about issues having to do with free speech and freedom, because it is kind of a realm that gamers are very concerned about. I mean, we don't want our entertainment censored. We don't want government regulating our industry. We don't want any of this kind of thing. I mean, maybe a few of you do. I don't know. I sure don't. But honestly, because we talk about this stuff, we've been looking at the statistics and the analytics, and we're pretty sure that we're getting punished for it. I actually had trouble sleeping earlier this week because worrying about our channel basically dying. Just gonna put that out there because I like being open with the community, what's going on. But yeah, we're a little concerned behind the scenes right now. So whatever support you can give, whether it's just liking, commenting, sharing, would help us out a lot. We know that we have a very positive and active community on Discord that's really, I mean, almost it's become its own thing independent of the YouTube channel, and we're really glad for that. Like it's just a solid, healthy, growing community, and we really are appreciative of that. So thank you all who are involved in that, who work to keep it a really positive, fun place. All our mods who work hard. I know it's difficult sometimes, especially when things like this GameStop story come up. There's a lot of opinions and things, and sometimes it's hard to know, well, should this be pushed into the off-topic section, or is it, valid topic for one of the main rooms? Anyway, thank you all who are behind us on this, and we are trying to strategize and figure out how to keep on growing in this kind of new world. And especially since, the Cyberpunk 2077 launch didn't go as well as one could have hoped. And, we, of course, were big into that. So, anyway, we're not going anywhere, but...
I think Cyberpunk 2077 didn't do well because we are currently living in the cyberpunk dystopian universe of 2021.
Oh, yeah. Well, we've been talking about that a lot. But anyway, sorry to kind of go off on a tangent there, but I wanted to get that off my chest that I really appreciate this community. We are a little worried about what's going on with, our YouTube analytics and stuff, but we're not going anywhere, but formats of things might start changing.
Yeah. We're looking at a lot of format changes. We're looking at doing a lot of new stuff. We may be moving the live shows over to a second channel and keeping this channel strictly as it's been built upon, which is guides and edited content. It seems that that YouTube likes it when we do that kind of stuff, but punishes us whenever we do a live stream. And the fact that we've been live streaming for well over a year now, 2 years now.
We've been live streaming since 2017.
Yeah, but they changed the algorithm so much, and we can kind of tell that this is the case because there are channels that are out there that are exclusively, they're from big YouTubers, but they have channels, second or third channels that are exclusively for just live streaming. They post no content whatsoever. They delete the videos, like they archive the videos essentially. So there's no active video content on their channel, and yet they're getting millions of views. And it seems that YouTube is playing with this system where they want people to live stream, but they don't want people to live stream on their existing channels. They want to create secondary channels so that the algorithm can sort streaming channels from edited content, because they don't actually like it when those two things are the same. They want those two things separate.
They just don't seem to like mixed content at all anymore. But anyway, we don't need to talk. What's that?
How dare you try to... I said, don't you know you need to specialize? How dare you try to handle everything by yourself?
Yeah, no, hey.
Or how dare you create like a multifaceted thing? So there's lots of issues and stuff about that. Lots of worrying stuff. And then it doesn't help when we're watching other channels that are clearly like buying views. And YouTube apparently isn't doing anything about that right now. So that's kind of really, frustrating. But you bet you 100% that they'll bet that if you buy even a single view, that they'll hold that over your head and execute you as soon as they can prove that. So there's just so much stuff going on right now, and it's been very frustrating and worrisome. But at the same time, it's like we know that we're developing a strong community because you guys showing up on Discord and being active and in everything that we do there is really, really healthy. So yeah.
I love you guys. You guys, seriously, this community has really come together since everything's just kind of hit the fan over the last while. So come join our Discord. There's lots of people active in lots of the voice channels. We've got lots of different topics to connect on. We've got people who just pop in there, hang out in the voice room. They just stream their game, whatever they're playing, and somebody will show up and be like, "Hey, what's good?" It's really fantastic.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Join our
Discord. Join the Discord. So that's good. That takes care of having to plug the Discord in the mid-roll here. Yeah. But yeah. Check it out. Links in the description below. Also, you can find a link there to the merch store featuring original artwork by our very own Moontag. You see it up on the screen right now. We got the Chompler merch. This is my low-level alt character for when you want to let people know not to expect much of you. That's when you wear that shirt. Plus the running around the net cyberpunk girl, the logo merch. Lots of great stuff, and I know Moontag's working on more artwork. So much going on behind the scenes that it's hard to get stuff done.
But yeah, no, I felt like I was being pulled in 5 directions yesterday. It was interesting and stressful, but good.
All right, so let's get into some actual video game related stuff now. We have some news regarding things going on with Blizzard. We got news with Overwatch 2 and stuff having to do with Diablo. So what's going on, Saib?
So first, we'll quickly mention February is going to be pretty busy. We've got a couple of games coming out that we're going to be focusing on. There's a patch for Baldur's Gate coming soon. They had a flood again because it seems that they have one building that's very susceptible to flooding. I don't know why they're still there. It's not just that building's problem. It's like that city has a problem. So there's that. They've got the patches coming out in a very short period of time. We're talking like 2-3 weeks tops, probably, or not tops, but 2-3 weeks is kind of what we're expecting. So heads up on that. This is going to be a content patch, which means new characters, new classes, probably maybe there's possibility of a new race or some new sub races. Tons and tons of improvement overall. So that's coming out. We also have a game called Outriders. They've got a demo coming in February. It'll be a free demo. It'll allow everybody to play, supposedly, and then the game is going to pop April 1st. Again, tentatively, nothing like it's been. They said that's when it is, but 2021. Don't put your hopes in anything solid at all.
Mhm.
So Outriders is a 1 to 3 person co-op RPG shooter. It's set in a sci-fi world. It plays very much like Mass Effect 2 and 3, especially the multiplayer. It's kind of like a third person-y type thing, and it's gonna have it's gonna have like stuff. So I don't know if this this game is going to do well. We've been a little concerned about some of its like systems as far as monetization goes. Apparently, that there's some issues with the way that it's structured and being sold on Steam. But it's like the fact that that's an issue seems to indicate that I don't know if I would trust the monetization on this thing at all. It seems to be really going for this like very much this like Destiny kind of vibe thing, and there was another game that just came out. Oh darn it, I can't even remember it. Crap. It was the one with the really crazy like amazing looking armor, and when we saw the initial trailer for it, we were like, wow, that looks cool. And then it came out. It came out with such little fanfare because the game was absolute and total garbage. Again, it was just a Destiny type ripoff. And then so I don't know if these Destiny type things, these looter shooters, are good or not. They seem to be failing every time they come out, and I don't think that they're good for the market. I think that they have been failing for quite a while now, and it's dangerous to kind of like hedge bets on them because they're pretty terrible. Like, so again, that one, don't know if it's going to be. I don't know if it's going to be good, but we're going to give it an honest try. We might as well. We've played things like Division 2, and it seems kind of like okayish. I like Warframe, but some games just can't decide whether they can't decide what they are, essentially.
Mhm.
So yeah. All right, so those are the two games. So now back to Activision Blizzard. So the big thing that's happening in February is going to be Xbox, or sorry, not Xbox, Activision Blizzard's new BlizzConline. Yes, that's the name that they're rolling.
That's what
with,
they're
is
calling it for real?
BlizzConline. It's Blizz Online or Blizz
On
because normally it's BlizzCon.
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
what they call it when they host the actual like convention. But now they're calling it BlizzConline because it's con line. It's really dumb.
Wow. That's a
really dumb.
stretch. That's a really
That's
big stretch.
awful. Wow.
Somebody-
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah. It's absolutely
Wow.
terrible.
Like, just
No,
call
they
it
could ask their
BlizzCon.
fans,
What's that?
or they could have asked their fans even if they wanted to get more involvement.
I'm sure they would have, but they couldn't find any. So just call it BlizzCon Online. Like, don't try to be cute and clever. It's just cringe.
You can only crunch words together so much until it stops making sense.
Yeah.
This is really bugging me.
What?
Okay, Godfall. Okay, Godfall. That was the name of the other one. Godfall is the looter shooter that dropped late last year. That when we saw the trailer for it, we were like, "Wow, that looks really impressive." What is it like? Oh, I bet you it's going to be. No, it was absolute garbage. Godfall was so terrible that I deleted it from my memory. We didn't even cover it. We didn't even cover the launch because it was so bad. It was so terrible. And that's what I worry that any of these like upcoming shooters, it's not just one. It's all upcoming looter shooters I feel are going to come out like Godfall. They're this mass-produced stuff that's trying to pin a market that had its high 4 years ago. And we saw this with League of Legends and all of the clones that came out to try and like gain its position as well. We saw that after it hit its peak, for 4 or 5 years later after it hit its peak, there were people pumping out like, "Oh, this is the newest MOBA game, guys. It's going to be great." And it's just hot garbage. So anyways, BlizzCon is coming up, and we're expecting to see a lot of stuff. So some of the cool stuff that we're going to hopefully be seeing is, them doing an actual good job when it comes to making their game. Or any game. Or anything. Or any product. We're hoping that that we're not going to get there and they're going to show up and they're going to be like, "So, guys, we have this great game coming out. It's going to be like Diablo IRL, and you're going to pay $40,000 and we're going to fly you down here and you're going to like battle in this arena. It's going to be great." And everybody's going to be like, "Well, we don't have that." What do you mean? Do you guys not have $40,000 lying around?
Do you guys not have hedge funds?
Do you not have hedge funds? Exactly. So we're expecting this to be an absolute hoot in the form of like, laughing at their stupidity and failure. But is it fair to open out of the gate and say this company is trash, everything they do is trash, everything is garbage? I don't think it's truly fair to say that right off the top. I think it'll be fair to say that about 5 minutes after the convention ends. But I don't think it's fair to say that ahead of time, because then if you set somebody up for only failure in your mind, then that's a very unhealthy place to be at for both them, and then also like integrating in any kind of a society. You should be showing up and saying, "Look, I hope that you're going to do the right thing," and then you leave it at that. And then as soon as they don't, then you hammer them, right? So that's kind of what I think we should be doing here. So what are my expectations? My good side of my expectations is that they announce that they've got a new IP that they're working on. How realistic is that going to be? 0. I really don't think that's going to happen. Again, I'm giving my two polar opposites here. So what else do I hope? Well, I hope that they have a good Diablo game that's going to come out and reflect what Diablo was built on. Reality, that's not going to happen. I mean, the game is going to come out. In fact, they're probably going to have 3 announcements about Diablo. 3 announcements about Diablo. So, first announcement, Diablo 4. They're going to give an update. They're going to show a bunch of stuff. This is nowhere near being done, so it's at least 2 more years of waiting. But they will show us more gameplay. They'll show us some of the characters. Hopefully they'll show us that there's actual customization in the game at this point, which is something that Diablo 3 completely lacked whatsoever, as far as like visual customization of your character. load of hot garbage, whatever. How good is this going to be? Well, it's in heavy development, so you're going to cross your fingers, hope that it's going to have some reflection of something good and that they're making improved directions, but really not much we can talk about there. The other thing that they're going to do is they're going to update us on Diablo Immortal. Yay, Diablo Immortal, the phone game where you play it on your phone, and definitely not on PC. It's not like Genshin Impact launched this year on both mobile and PC and is one of the hottest games right now, period. Like, it's not like, they could port it to your phone and to the PC and you could play it on both, have a lot of these cool features just accessible at the point, of your phone and your PC, so that you can play it when you're, on the subway, and you can also play it when you get home,
Yes.
on your PC or on a console or anything. I mean, if you dumb it down enough so that somebody could play it on the dang phone, you probably port it to consoles. But again, wishful thinking, because reality is
that was some bad phrasing. That was some bad phrasing.
What?
I don't think you meant it that way, but the way you said, he's not saying that console games are dumbed down games. Just listen. Let me make that clear. But
no, I'm talking about the a game that runs on your phone is dumbed down.
Yes, it is, and it could definitely then run on PC or console.
And Blizzard has always said, well, we can't port any of our games to consoles because there's just too many buttons. They're too complex. Again, I'm not hammering consoles. I'm just saying that they don't have an excuse
to not put it on consoles. Yes, exactly. Yeah,
on console and PC to allow, and I don't understand why there is a Diablo 4 when they have, when they could have, why is there a distinct? I don't know. This doesn't make any sense. Like I said, again, reality versus like expectation, like hopeful expectation. Hopeful expectation is that they make a good product and they deliver us a good product with no strings attached. But that's not what Blizzard is anymore. Blizzard is a pile of refuse and a pile of garbage that in some capacity is fighting with themselves for survival, and they are losing this battle every single day. Activision is tearing this company apart. They canceled one of their studios that made amazing reboots and relaunches and new takes on old games. They completely destroyed that company, moved it over as a support studio for Blizzard to help them with Overwatch 2, which I'm going to get into in a minute. And then they forced these people to re-interview for their same job that they had at that minute. And some of them got let go because they couldn't transition over to the new company because of paperwork or because of other stupidity. They killed one of the best running companies within their subset of companies. Activision killed one of the best companies within Blizzard to consume it and have it to be cannibalized into an existing company within Blizzard for no apparent reason other than just garbage politics. And again, we're not talking politics, we're talking in-game business, sister company politics, that kind of thing. So this is a sister company that consumed another sister company that then put people out of a job, even though they expect that company to be doing essentially the same amount of work. So again, we have this where Bobby Kotick, that piece of is taking jobs away from the everyday Joes during the worst existence of trying to live in society in the last like 100 years, last like 80 years. He's walking in there like an absolute and he's saying, your job is gone, your job is gone, your job is gone, and reporting, oh, by the way, our stocks are up, our money's up, our business is up, everybody's staying home playing games. We have made the most money this year than we have ever made before, and we are doing amazing. You think you could spare a couple of jobs? Anyways, really angry about this. But then even more angry with the news that it appears as if they are going to be working on, again, I just mentioned this company. They do reboots of old games. They rebuild them for the, Guess what game we're expecting to hear an announcement about? Diablo 2 new remaster.
Okay.
Possibly even a complete rebuild of Diablo 2. So they just destroyed a company within their range of companies that work with Blizzard on doing reboots, and they killed that company off, not to transition them to work on more reboots, to transition them as a support studio for Overwatch. The stupidity of what I'm hearing is why I said I'm going in, I'm hoping, oh yeah, we're going to see some cool stuff at BlizzCon on BlizzConline. I'm hoping that this is not the reality. This is not the reality. The reality is that we're going to be getting a lot of garbage and a lot of pandering and a lot of BS from a company who doesn't care and is getting harder and harder to. I mean, it's getting harder and harder to just to watch this. It's getting sad. So yeah, Diablo 2 expected to be mentioned or announced that they're doing some kind of a rebuild for that or a remake. Will it have the original nudity in the game? Excuse me, I really doubt it.
No.
Will it have any of the gritty, like, gore and stuff? Well, they've mentioned that they want to turn this into a family-friendly title. The game where you fight demons from hell. They want to turn that into a nice family-friendly thing. I've done this bit before where I'm like, oh yeah, we're gonna see a trailer in a few years where it's like, it's time to play everybody's favorite family game, Diablo, Lord of Destruction. Jimmy comes in, the little son comes in, like he's 8 years old. Mom, oh, what's the Diablo bonked my character on the head. Oh, you silly boy, that Diablo, he's such a rascal. Well, you just try again. Here's $5 for the microtransaction. Yay, thanks, Mommy. I'm gonna go play with Diablo. And maybe Lilith, the mother of all lust. Oh, wait, sorry. It's not lust. It's happy, friendly, fun times with buddies.
It's mom and dad's wrestling time. Yeah.
This is absolutely like this is a gritty, disgusting, gross game that is meant to be that way. And they have these big corporate fat cats are destroying it. So remaster, yeah. That is expected to be announced. We'll see what happens with it. But Blizzard is not in a good shape at all. Like, it is not even. It is not doing well right now. The only thing about Blizzard right now that is doing well is World of Warcraft. The lead team designers, the people at the head of this company, of that aspect of the company, I should say, are trying very hard to pull it together. They are trying very, very hard to pull it together. They are listening. WoW is probably in one of the best states it's been in for a very, 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 very long time. So they launched Shadowlands, and it's going along pretty well. There are no major problems. This same time in the launch of BFA, the last expansion, things were on fire. Everything was burning. People were quitting, and everything was going sideways. Right now, the game is like very decently balanced. They've had a lot of general success, and they've been working on more content. So we're going to get an update as to what the next phase of the expansion is going to be. It is the only aspect of this company that is doing well right now. The only one. And it has the only vestiges of old Blizzard who are fighting for control of the soul of Blizzard. And if we want to see Blizzard do well, I think what needs to happen is that Overwatch needs to fail. The new Diablo needs to fail. Activision needs to take heavy losses in its next round of their own, internal games. And all of this stuff needs to fail, and World of Warcraft needs to do well. This is the only way that we will have good old-fashioned Blizzard back. Because if this happens, and if this happens, especially if this happens like extremely like viscerally, when again Overwatch crashes and burns in a spectacularly devastating fashion. The new Diablo is canned as being a try hard, family friendly version of a game that is meant to be adult in its basic, concept. And then for Bobby to be hammered ruthlessly by the board of directors to the point where they oust him and they replace him with the person who's currently running or leading the team on World of Warcraft. That is the only way Blizzard survives, in my humble opinion. This is the only way that Blizzard survives the next couple of years, without becoming a soulless company that creates, cheap asset flipping IPs that are reliant on, oh, look at that, oh yeah, the good old fashioned thing. Like I really feel this strongly. And this is one of the reasons why I continue to play Warcraft, is because the only vestiges at that company that have the ability to turn things around are working their damnedest hardest on making this a success. And there are too many people who are willing to support a microtransaction ladled asset flip, like essentially what Overwatch is and what I honestly believe Diablo is going to become. I honestly think that. I honestly think that these games are trash and garbage, and that the only hope that this company has is in the hands of somebody who actually is going, no, we need to listen to the players first and foremost. We need to get back about caring for the players. So yeah, and again, we're getting closer and closer to the point where Blizzard is a lost cause completely and totally. I think that it's I think it's getting there. I hope that it doesn't get there, because again, I'm not a hedge fund manager. I don't hope for the failure of people. I hope that people and companies and businesses can learn from their mistakes. So anyways, let's talk Overwatch 2. Overwatch 2 report. This game was announced in 2019. It was announced to be, right around the corner. Well, it is now 2021, and I doubt we're going to see this game this year. Could be that we're going to see this year in some kind of like limited launch or somewhat limited launch. Could be that we get it very late, like November, November, December of this year. But I don't think we're going to be playing this in the spring and the summertime. I really don't think so. I think they wanted to do it that way, but I think that based on all of this information, things are not good. So, rumors are that internally this game has been delayed more than once. So that's a delay that wasn't there was no release date announced. They just had an internal date of, say, quarter two or whatever of a particular year, and it's pushed back either a year or 2 years past that point. And so that's kind of like what we're seeing here. So we're really seeing that that Overwatch 2 has been hitting the wall. It's essentially in development hell right now. They are struggling with core concepts of the game. They're struggling with creating gameplay that is repetitively fun. Maybe that's part of your problem, Blizzard. Just saying. But yeah, it's not looking good for them right now. The a lot of the There's a lot of localization that goes into this particular game, because it is played across the world and it's played in a lot of different languages, and there's a lot of work that takes for it. And because this is becoming a PvE game, Overwatch 2 is not it's not PvP, it's PvE, so you're working together as a team, and you're trying to do stuff. They've had to completely redesign so much of the core concept of the game on top of trying desperately to make it like a coherently good experience. So again, we're going to see this at the BlizzCon. I think we'll see a generalized update for it. We might hear an announcement about like some form of a beta. Blizzard is pretty big on the betas, so while we may not see a full release this year, I think it's very possible that we will start to see limited access into the game. Will that be good or will that be worth it? I don't know what to tell you. I kind of doubt it. Originally, this game was pitched as a PvE game, and it basically became an arena PvP game that has not a lot to it, to be honest. Like, yeah, it's got good story, it's got Pixar animation, it's got, you know, a lot of this cool stuff, and the trailers are great to watch. The game is not actually that good. To like, it's really not actually that good. It's insanely repetitive. It's great for making memes and stuff like that, but I I don't hold your breath on this one. I don't think that anybody in this audience is holding their breath on this one, but just saying that this is going to get worse before it gets better as far as this company goes. So yeah. All right.
I had completely forgotten that Overwatch was a thing, quite frankly.
Yeah.
And
So
when I look at this image I've got up on the screen right now, Overwatch 2, I mean, it looks exactly like Overwatch, the first one. Like,
Yeah.
what reason have I to be excited about this, even if I was an Overwatch player?
PVE. So now at least you won't get into a game and have somebody, have some like your
because
12-year-old screaming at you, telling you how he did some wrestling time with your mom last night, and yeah.
Because that worked so well for Fortnite, the PVE version. Yeah, that was so much more popular than the PvP version of Fortnite.
Yeah.
Right. All right.
So
anything
again,
more with Blizzard?
No. So I'm like I said, I'm hoping for a new IP announcement. That's wishful thinking. It's not going to happen. There are no way, shape, or form to do any of that kind of content. My greatest hope for it again now is that Blizzard does well in World of Warcraft and everything else fails miserably, and this would force the board of directors to boot existing people and to replace them with people who actually give a damn about the company. Because again, Bobby and like so many people from EA and all these other big companies, they fail upwards, and these stupid companies keep putting these people in charge over and over and over again because apparently it makes them money. So yeah, sad. Yeah, very
All right.
sad.
So that's
all
about.
right.
Is that it? Is that it for Blizzard then? As far as
That's it.
We've
That's
covered
it
it. We've covered it. Okay.
But yeah, the biggest news there is that Diablo 2 remaster. This is definitely something that, again, a lot of people have been talking about for a long time, and we will see how this boils out. So I want to talk about this. We've been talking about like the culture war and everything that's going on, and I found an interesting perspective article from the Washington Post, of all places. They put out a perspective writing, so it's kind of like an opinion piece. The title of this really got me, and I think everybody here will stand up and do a golf clap when they hear this title. Video games deserve better than blanket parachute coverage from reporters who don't get it.
Yes, this is really good. I read through this after you sent it to me. It's Are you smacking your desk?
No, I'm golf clapping. You're
That's what
supposed to join me. You're supposed to join me in the golf clap.
Okay, I can do that, but it sounds like you're smacking something, like you're hitting your microphone or something.
No, I'm literally clapping in front of my microphone. But no, I
read through this. It's an excellent perspective on it, and he there's some great stuff. He talks about everything from like the whole idea of video games being connected to aggressive violence, to gaming disorder. And he quotes people who know what they're talking about. I love this paragraph here, and I would definitely read the entire article to get the context, but he's quoting this individual who is who is he now? Director of Research at Oxford Internet Institute, says he worries about gaming disorder, which is, we talked about this when the World Health Organization made this label. He says calling the medium of video games addictive is like saying alcoholism is caused by bottles. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
it's true. Like, you can, when you just
He's
say,
got
okay,
he's got an opening line in here that says, "Video games are closer to rock and roll or hip hop, a living culture in which 2 billion humans on Earth participate."
yeah,
Exactly.
exactly. And there's so many subcultures within it. There's so,
And
I mean, you ask any gamer, it's like, hey, you play video games? Yeah. Okay, but, or let me rephrase that. It's like, okay, oh yeah, I'm a gamer. I play video games. What's your first question? It's like, oh, what do you play? Why? Because that tells you. Are you just on your phone playing Peggle and Candy Crush? Are you
it's worse than
playing
that. Dude. It's worse.
online MMOs? Are you
It's
playing FPSs? Like, what is? Yeah, just saying video games, that's meaningless almost. It's like saying movies.
So I remember one of the first times I asked a journalist if they played video games, as we were talking, and it was just kind of a casual thing. I'm like, "Oh, so do you play any games?" "Oh, yes, I love video games." I'm like, "Oh, really? Which ones?" Oh man, I am a sucker for like all of the big ones. Like, really? Yeah, yes. So okay, so there's solitaire. And I have a really good score on solitaire. Okay, it's really high up there. And then I really like that Minesweeper game. It's the one they didn't call it Minesweeper. They called it Mine Swiffer or something like that. And I was like, "Do you mean Minesweeper?" And they're like, "Yeah. That one's really good." And then I got into this big one. It was actually, it's a lot different than those last times. So I'm like, "Okay, here it is. And they're like, "Yeah, it's like a pinball game." And I'm like, "Are you talking about the basic Windows pinball game? Like the stuff that like
Stuff that
this
comes
is
pre-installed on Windows. That's what he's talking about. Yeah,
yeah,
Oh,
that
unlike
was his
Windows 98.
experience with video games in 2010."
wow.
Now, mind you, again, this was a decade ago, but this wasn't 2000. This wasn't 1995. This was 2010, and he's talking about, first of all, dude, why are you playing games from Windows 95 in 2010?
I'm actually going to check and see if I even
When
have
did you
solitaire on my
last
machine here.
update your computer? Like, aren't you part of like a multi-billion-dollar like network of cable company TV? Like, don't you work for like one of the big channels that you see in an airport all the time? Like, yeah, like, and you write about video games, yeah, but you don't actually play video games. Like, well, yeah, I play video games. Like, do you play Halo? Like, no, what's that? What's that?
Wow.
I like, seriously. This is insane that we're at this point. This is insane that we're talking about this. This is insane that we're back and forth on this. This is absolutely mental that this continues to happen.
So yeah, there's this. I mean, I don't even know how to respond to that other than to say yes, absolutely. Why not hire somebody who's actually a gamer, someone who understands
Talk
the
about
culture?
games.
I mean, it's. I get it. You're on the outside of the culture. Some of it was just like when we talked about. I was reading about the Reddit community that screwed over these poor billionaires earlier
Oh,
this
the
week.
poor billionaire.
Yeah, like I was reading about their subreddit and some of the jargon they use. And like, yeah, if you just dive in there not understanding the culture and the type of language they use and all of this, then it makes no sense. And you might hear them say things and misunderstand it and think that it's this horrible thing when it's actually not. It's just they have their own memes, they have their own language, just like any other subculture or career in industry. Any industry you go into, they've got their own terminology for things. that you're just not gonna know what they're talking about if you aren't part of that culture. And if you then turn around and interpret it literally, you're gonna completely get it wrong. So yes, you need somebody who's on the inside, but instead we get ridiculous coverage from people who don't know what they're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
On that note, though, there was a longitudinal study, if you know what that is. Basically, this was a study done, and it's been published in the Cyber Psychology, Behavior, and Social Networking Journal, I suppose, Volume 24, Number 1. So basically, there's a study on the connection between video games and mental health problems. And the title is Aggressive Video Games Are Not a Risk Factor for Mental Health Problems in Youth, a Longitudinal Study. Just published a couple of weeks ago, January 11th, 2021. So basically, they have looked at this for a long time. They did an aggregation of a bunch of other studies and, looked at it over a span of time, and there's no connection between aggressive video games and mental health problems in youth. And I think that would also fall over into the idea that video games actually cause aggression. So if you want to check that out, you can look it up. Liebertpub.com is the website where I'm looking at it. But anyway, this is just further confirmation that there is no evidence that violent video games are causing damage to people or promoting real world violence. It's just an idea that needs to be put to bed, because it's like, I can understand why back in, the 80s and 90s, my parents were worried about it. It hadn't really been looked at and studied, and these newfangled 3D graphics with blood and gore were just starting to come out, and they thought this would have some kind of a psychological impact. In 2021, there's no excuse for people to still be making this argument.
Yeah. It's pointless, it's stupid, it doesn't make any sense, and yeah.
It's behavior, and honestly, people often are scared of things that they don't understand. So
right, and it's I'm not gonna get on here and commentate on areas of life I don't know about. I never mind. We'll just let that drop.
So, in other news, we do have this. It turns out that big mega corporations are bad at making video games and are bad at running video games. And if they don't have people that are gamers, that are actively gamers, participating in the ecosystem that are, video games, turns out that they don't run these very well. And the big news on this is this. So there's like two big stories with this. One, Amazon Games isn't doing very good. They're not making anything really good because, well, it was a corporate creation. It was extremely corporate. I don't think they had anybody involved in the original founding of the Amazon Game Studios that was an actual true to heart gamer. They might have been when they were very young, but they've been a corporate stooge for the past 40 years, that kind of thing. Because they have been releasing games, and none of them have been doing very well. And over on the Google front, Google with Stadia, it's not doing so good either right now. Their big Stadia exclusive called Creta is no longer going to be an exclusive very soon. Quoting one of the lead developers over at, I think it's called Unit 2 Games. So Unit 2 Games created this game for Stadia. It was supposed to be this big exclusive for Stadia. Nobody is currently playing Stadia, so this game is getting absolutely no anything. I think I heard about this game a while ago, and I went, "Oh, that's kind of interesting. I'll put that on the list of things to look up." Never got around to it. This game is I don't even know how to describe this thing.
It's a collaborative. It describes itself as a collaborative game creation platform. So it's some sort of thing where you can actually. It's almost it's not an engine, but it's like a game builder that has a bunch of functionality and things pre-built.
But apparently, you're supposed to use this on Stadia.
Right, but not anymore. Now it's coming to PC.
Yeah, now it's coming to PC. Making its way to PC, quote unquote, very soon. Originally announced as first on Stadia. What I believe this was supposed to be is this was supposed to be a competitor to Fortnite. This was supposed to allow and inspire creation like you have in Fortnite. A lot of Fortnite success is now coming from its users and its player base, which is constantly creating new stuff. The funny thing is that it's actually built on Unreal Engine.
Yeah, it's built on Unreal Engine 4.
It's a Minecraft style creator, and in theory, it's supposed to be very adaptable and able to do a lot of cool big things. But again, it's only been on Stadia, and I have heard basically nothing from this from anybody in the industry.
Well,
no wonder they want to get on PC, because this is dying on Stadia. So yeah, it's like a golden handcuffs situation. It's like you signed in with Google to have this game be exclusive, and you open up shop and you open your doors and like 5 people come in, look around, leave, and then for the next 5 months you have zero business. Your bills are being paid by the big mega corporation, but you're just wasting away. So, I suppose they've been building on the engine and trying to make improvements.
Well, I was going to say, if that's your alpha, if that's your early access, I mean, you're kind of golden.
Great, I guess, right? So yeah, interesting, and I guess, and I'm hoping, I'm hoping that I'm hoping that they'll figure things out. But yeah, overall, I worry a lot about where this is. I worry about studios like this that signed in with Stadia, that signed in with Epic, that were used to kind of launch the platform to some mild success for Epic now. Zero success for Stadia. But who gets hurt? These people who signed away their future for like a year or two of paychecks. Again, hard decision to be in.
Well, I mean, Creta might do well now. That if it comes to PC and if it's a good product, I think it could do well. Like I don't feel like it's got the same stigma as, oh, you were an Epic exclusive,
right?
But even games like Hitman 3 that went Epic exclusive, I think they're going to do well when they come to other platforms.
Mm-hmm.
I think I feel like the stigma and the desire to stick it to Epic and the company and the developers that sign on with Epic exclusivity, I feel like that's kind of died off. I don't know if you agree with me or disagree. Let me know in the chat. But I feel like the desire to stick it to Epic has just kind of run out of steam, and people are just kind of accepting of it now. Not that we like it, but it's the way it's going to be. Obviously, that's my impression of how things are sitting right now. But I've never felt the same way with Stadia. Like that this game signed as a timed exclusive with Stadia, and now it's coming to PC. Like I think it could potentially be. I'm very curious about it. I'm very curious to see what it is and what it can do, and if it's a good product, I hope it does well.
Yeah, but unlike other games that have really hit the wall, so to speak, yeah. It's we've seen a lot of these companies fail pretty terribly, and
Yeah.
yeah,
When did I tell a
yeah.
dad joke, Renston? I don't remember telling a dad joke. We have
That's what makes it a dad joke. Ha ha ha.
Blue Arrow says, Triple S League, I live in Hong Kong. Thank you for showing interest. It's amazing that you guys do this. Well, thank you so much for listening, and thank you for being there. And we're, all the best with what's going on there. We are behind any cause for freedom and
please, Blue. If you're on the fence about getting the British citizenship, don't. Please, I beg you, get that as soon as possible. It's not a.
He's saying, do get it. Don't hesitate.
Don't hesitate.
Yeah.
Get it as quickly as you can. It's a lot harder to disappear people when they have citizenship registered in other countries.
Mm-hmm.
It will offer you some protection, and I encourage we have family there. Moon and I have family. Essentially, we have family through her there, and we worry so much about what's going on there. Please tell everybody you know to get it as fast as they can, and then if you can, GTFO. I look at the numbers and I look at where things are headed there, and I lose sleep. I do not feel safe, and it sucks because I know how much of a pain that is, and how much of a rich history that Hong Kong has, and everything that goes into it, and I worry so much about the future there. But please, we support you, but like, get that British citizenship. It's on the table, and at the very least, it makes it harder for people to disappear when you have that. So please, please, please get that as soon as you can, and if you can, move away.
What a rotten position to be in.
It is
like,
such a rotten
to have the choice between like leaving your homeland. I mean, that's gotta just suck. The choice between that or staying there and potentially having a whole bunch of rotten stuff happen.
And worse than that, like there's no good way to put this. Either like I think it's a lose situation all around. Yeah.
Anyway,
so at any rate, again, we hate to bring down the feeling, because again, 2021 is going to be a hard year, and staying positive is a good thing, and staying positive is a healthy thing, and that's what we're really here for. I could talk for hours and hours and hours about things that would make most people cry, but we don't want to do that, because we want to have some level of escape from having to deal with that kind of stuff. So yeah,
join up on the Discord server. We dedicate it to escapism. Sometimes these kinds of topics come up, of course, because they're big in the news. Whether you're talking about the Hong Kong thing or the GameStop thing, these kinds of topics, they do come up, but for the most part, we keep it centered around escapism. There is an off-topic channel if you want to talk more about the kind of things that we've created. The off-topic channel, it's kind of, I think of it like a pressure valve, because people do want to talk about these things with some of their friends on this community, but then it's kind of an opt-in situation. You can check that part out if you want, but the main rooms, the main public rooms, are all about our fandoms, our escapism, our everyday life. There's a food channel, there's a pets channel, plus tons of gaming channels and talking about movies and shows and things that we love. So that's what you can expect there. It's a very positive place, and we're working very hard to keep it a positive and healthy community. And with that, we'll wrap up the show for today. But thank you so much, everybody, for the great conversation in the chat. Thank you for supporting the show by listening live or after the fact. Don't forget to slam that like button before you leave if you haven't already. We really appreciate that. It helps us out a lot. Leave comments below if you are listening after the fact. And please do share it around if you enjoy this show, and if you want other people to listen to it, we would really appreciate that. I want to give a special thank you to our Big Damn Heroes and our channel members, Robin Shua, Time Bean, Schoolaman, Lady Reaver, Draco Den, Niv, Too Tall 12, Atomic Stew, Jer Schultz, Game Notes, and Terror K. All those folks who support us financially, you have no idea how much that means to us, but how much it helps in such a practical sense as well. So thank you so much. All right, this podcast is a presentation of the Triple S League. Check out our YouTube channel for game guides, reviews, comedy, news updates, and tons more quality gaming content. My name is Ash. On behalf of Obsidian and Moontag, thank you all so much for listening to the Discord. We'll talk to you again very soon.